Have you ever thought about where your produce comes from? Most grocery chains receive produce from various local and national farmers. In fact, there are about 3.4 million farmers in the United States today. But of that staggering number, only 45,000 are Black farmers. At the Better Buggy, we are a proud group of Atlanta-based Black-owned farmers, selling produce locally and nationwide. Our easy-to-navigate online platform makes it easy for you to make a one-time purchase or to simplify your life by subscribing to our weekly produce box. Whichever frequency you choose, you can order with confidence, knowing you'll receive 100% organic farm-fresh produce. If you're looking for a thoughtful gift for a loved one that they'd actually find useful, be sure to pop by our online store where you can snag a gift card your recipient can use to order their own produce and t-shirts. Ready to start supporting local Black-owned farms and making healthier food decisions? Visit thebetterbuggy.com now to start shopping.
Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. life expectancy decreased by an alarming amount during the pandemic. It is a combination of fatalities from the pandemic and drug overdose. The combination of the two really dragged down the life expectancy in America. I'm going to let you listen to this video from NBC News. This article came out June 23rd, 2021. Okay, let's see if I can get this to play for you.
Inside during the pandemic, Sabrina Hart turned to an old habit.
I got me some heroin. I went into the bathroom, snorted it.
One that nearly left her dead.
How did the pandemic affect your drug use?
Well, I was clean for 5 years. I hadn't touched anything. I sat at home every day. I had no idea what to do. And I think it was just all the stress that was in my head. And I just picked it back up like I'd never left it.
Nearly 200 Americans are dying every single day from opioid overdoses, an increase of 34% during the pandemic, leading to the highest one-year death toll from overdoses ever recorded.
How big did the problem get in the pandemic?
Between April and May of 2020, our numbers tripled between 2 months. Yes.
Here in West Virginia, the state with the highest overdose death rate in the country, Cabell County was once the epicenter.
Is this what people around here are hearing all day?
Yeah. You didn't get him yesterday.
That's why local officials built quick response teams like this one, complete with a police officer, EMT, treatment counselor, and faith leader.
So this is the quick response vehicle?
Yep. To bring help where it's needed most.
They're not going to come to us, right? So we found that it's best to go to them.
How do you find the people who overdose?
Every time an ambulance is dispatched on a call, we have to go.
I have track marks there.
This is a track mark. This is a track mark.
For Courtney Bonke, who just got out of prison in August for possession, the pandemic became a perfect storm.
COVID hit and, everything's been different.
Do you think that played a role? The pandemic
plays a role. Yeah, isolation, can't go nowhere, can't do anything. I mean, that's when you're stuck in your head. When you're by yourself and nobody's around and you're sitting there thinking, you obsess.
4 days before our interview, Courtney overdosed again.
You had no OD Saturday?
Yeah. Saturday, if I wouldn't have jerked when I did, I'd be dead.
But thanks to Huntington's quick response team,
How are you?
I'm fine.
she and others like her are finding their way forward.
Do you have hope?
I have hope. You have to have hope.
Morgan Radford, NBC News, Huntington, West Virginia. Historic change could be.
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there. So I'm not surprised. America have been struggling with opioids now for 23 years. And it has not improved at all. It actually got worse because during the lockdown, many of the rehab locations around the country were also shut down. So many of these folks that were trying to actively get off of drugs, it just made them turn back to the drug. And that happened to many of them. So the life expectancy would drop during the pandemic, especially, if you couple that with drug addiction. So Ladies and gentlemen, I think the US should anticipate a drop in the life expectancy every year. Only because with the combination of these two things, you're not even counting the suicides that are going on, and that was high. Surprisingly, among the cops, it's high, and that's not from no hard work, by the way. And you got a new study that used data from the National Center of Health Statistics, which is part of the Census for Disease Control, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and Human Mortality Database. And what they do is they measure any changes in the life expectancy, and they saw a change between 2018 and 2020. And the change was among all groups: Black, white, and Hispanic. The available data did not allow the researchers to include Asians, Pacific Islanders, American Indian, or Alaska Native populations in comparison. So between 2018 and 2020, the decrease in average life expectancy at birth in the US was roughly 1.9 years, and 8.5 times the average decrease in 16 comparable countries, which was about 2.5 months. That was the decrease. The decrease widened the gap between the US and its peers to nearly 5 years. But the difference is much larger, and, it depends on, of course, the life expectancy on average. So they're saying the largest was between Blacks and Hispanic Americans, compared with white Americans, who average life expectancy at birth dropped about 1.4 years between 2018 and 2020. The average Hispanics decreased 3.9, and the average life expectancy of a Black American decreased 3.25. So it looked like the biggest drop was among Hispanics. These numbers, we aren't at all used to seeing this in research. So they said this is probably one of the biggest drops they have seen since they have been doing research. So that's pretty horrific. And they said they haven't seen a decrease of that magnitude since World War II. Following World War II, life expectancy in the US was climbing for decades. But in the 1990s, the pace of longevity started to slow. Americans went from having a higher life expectancy compared to, other nations around the world, to falling below average. The trend continued until 2010, when the average age of death in the US plateaued and then entered a 3-year decline in 2014. The gap between the US and other countries was really widening at that point, Wolf said. But in 2019, just prior to the pandemic, life expectancy at birth in the US increased by zero point 0.1 years, about 1.5 months. The real worry is that we were essentially making no progress compared to other countries, Wolf said. The ripple effect. Health officials calculate life expectancy at birth to better understand the country's health over time. Estimates of life expectancy during the virus didn't predict how long a group of people will live, but rather illustrate who was most affected. What the enormous drop in life expectancy tells us is not how long a baby born in 2020 will live, but instead how high the death rate for the entire population during 2020, Wolf said. Mm-mm-mm. Wow. Although life expectancy is expected to increase in 2021, the pandemic will have lasting financial, mental, and physical health consequences that will ripple far beyond 2020. I don't believe life expectancy is going up in 2020. Based on what? You still got the pandemic going on. These overdose deaths are still going on. So, what are they basing that on? The year ain't even up. So how do you know who's where it's going to be in 2021 and we're still in June? Okay, whatever. So anyway, especially last spring, people were delaying screenings and emergency care out of fear of being exposed to the virus. For other medical care, was delayed. Yeah, people that should have gotten surgeries done and everything, and they had to put everything on hold. We do know about that. These consequences have the power to shorten American lifespans in the coming decades, Wolf and his colleagues noted. So, y'all, mm-mm-mm. Please tell me what you think about this news of this alarming decrease in the life expectancy in America. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.